new service which links military veterans, first responders and families who have been impacted by service trauma has been launched today. CEO of Resolute Ready and Ambassador Derrick McManus joins me in the studio. Hello, Lydia. Hello, Derrick.
Hi.
Great to be here.
Now, Lydia, tell us what Resolute Ready is.
Well, Resolute Ready is like an online directory that's linking veterans and first responders and their families to service providers. So if you have a service in mental health or you can offer education, employment, transition, there's a whole list of needs in our community, and you've got a service that can actually help this community. Please go to resoluteready.com and you can actually submit an online performer. And it's like, then it sort of gets submitted up online in this big cloud, which is like a big library, if you like. Mm-hmm. And which means that when these amazing, human beings that serve this country and others around the world, it's actually a global hub. We'll always feel like they'll be connected and supported no matter where they go around the world.
So, Lydia, what is your story? Why did you want to start Resolute Ready?
Yeah, well, look, a couple of years ago, my husband, I'm a partner of a veteran, and my partner suffered chronic post-traumatic stress disorder and alcohol misuse disorder. And as we know, when someone has that level of trauma, and he served in East Timor, it really impacted him as a husband, as a father, and we were very impacted. We sort of developed our own mental health issues. But the good thing is, I can honestly say, is that with all the help that we have now, initially it was really difficult to get hold of a service, and we didn't know where to go, how to access them. But look, at the end of the day, if we can get help to these families a lot sooner, then we can probably reduce the harm and the impact of the service trauma has on families.
Can I ask, is your partner around today? Are you
yes,
still together?
He is. Yes, we're
okay.
still together.
Okay.
Hence, what we want to bring to the table is our experience. The pain and the suffering that we actually endured as a family, and now in recovery, we can actually share that knowledge with community.
What were some of the things that you were dealing with and you found difficult with your partner's trauma? Like you said, the drinking.
The drinking, the anger outbursts, the hypervigilance. I felt like as a partner walking around on eggshells. Prior to diagnosis, I really didn't know how to help. I didn't even know that there was an issue, and it's quite often that partners also get blamed that they're the one that's got the issues. So I believed, oh my goodness, there must be something wrong with me.
So when you say you didn't know there was an issue because he didn't really open up, so you'd known, obviously he went. Did you were you already with him while he was in Timor?
No.
Okay.
So
and he wasn't open with what happened in Timor? Not
really. I knew that he was a soldier and he served in the army, and I felt so honoured because, that takes quite a bit of bravery and courage. So, no, I was honoured to meet Duncan and respect the fact that he served in the army. But it was just that when he got back, and actually not when he got back, because he got back, so we got married in 2013. So this is my second marriage.
Yes.
And it was like 6 months later, I kid you not, the man that I married suddenly changed overnight. And I had no idea what was going on. So, but one thing I did know is that I loved him, and the only way I was going to get through this is if I separated the illness from the man. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And once I understood that and I educated myself on PTSD and the symptoms, learnt something about the triggers, then we could begin on our relationship. But Duncan had to get to the point where he had to realise, you know what? This is, it's really impacting our marriage. It's really impacting the family. And I've got to give him credit. He actually did everything in his power to become a better person so that we could function better as a family.
And that's what you have to do, really, isn't it? You've got to make the changes yourself.
Yeah.
Before anything.
Yeah.
Derrick, why did you decide to be an ambassador for Resolute Ready? What's important for you?
When I met Lydia, I actually didn't have a choice as to whether I was going to be or not. When Lydia gets on her passion moments, she just makes everybody do exactly what she wants. But for me, it is important because I've been through my own journey of service, 42 years in the police department, had some major injuries,
Come on. Not. I mean, super major, I think. Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they were. I was shot 14 times.
Yeah.
And I had multiple massive life-threatening injuries, and I was lying on the ground for 3 hours. I lost so much blood that the first doctor to get to me thought I was already dead. And then he describes it that I took a last gasping breath, and then he and his team just worked their magic.
So at that time, what services were available to you? Do you felt there was enough?
5 days after the shooting, while I was still in intensive care, I threw my hand in the air and said, I want to talk to a psych.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going strange. I didn't think there was anything wrong, but I just wanted to talk to a psych. I wanted to run things past this psych. And remember, this is 29 years ago now, so that was not normal back then for somebody to throw his hand in the air and go, especially somebody in that macho environment of policing and Star Group in particular. But it still took 3 months for them to get a psych to me, even though I was the one who wanted it. Now, I was very fortunate that I had prepared myself physically, mentally and emotionally for what I was realistically going to encounter. But that mental and emotional preparation is not something that was proactively given to us prior to in the police department. It was just something maybe that came from my parents. It was kind of intuitive. And so I was in a good spot. Now, as a result of that, I was able to handle the shooting well while I was on the ground. I was able to handle my recovery well afterwards as well. My first meeting with a psych was 3 months after the shooting. And 3 months after the shooting, I picked his brain about what could happen, what might happen, who's dealt with these things badly, who's dealt with them well, what can I anticipate. He picked my brain. And as a result of that, he cleared me psychologically to go back to work the next day. Psychologically. Physically, I wasn't able to return for 2.5 years. But psychologically, I was cleared to go back to work the next day. Didn't need to come and see him again. No ongoing treatment. And so as a result of my traumatic experience, I've had post-traumatic growth. I've been able to grow from it and develop and have a stronger mindset and stronger belief in myself. And that's what I want to see happen for all the veterans, all whether it's military or first responders. There is that possibility of growth after trauma, but it depends on how well we prepare ourselves and how soon we get services afterwards. And that's a point which is really lacking. And Lydia is bringing this online global hub that's already got input from, I think, 5 different countries for services. So it's a unique global support hub where people who aren't able to get the normal support through their military or first responder service, they can access these services immediately. They can get straight online and straight to that help.
We've got Lydia Hall and Derrick McManus in the studio today. So, Lydia, what if you think you need it but you're unsure? And it's open to family members as well, isn't it? So what are some of the reasons or feelings that people, I mean, you could probably both answer this. You're like, oh, I think I need this, but I'm not sure. But yeah, well, I wasn't in the army, but my dad was, what sort of feelings could you be displaying that you think, oh yeah, I reckon I might need a bit of help here?
I think observation of Duncan, he isolated himself. So he spent a lot of time in the garage and withdrew and sort of became disengaged from community, which is really dysfunctional for a family because you need, individuals to be present. But then there was depression, high levels of anxiety. We'd actually go to a restaurant and he'd have his back to the wall. And I didn't understand why, but he needed to see the entrances and exits.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was amazing. Like if we went to, say, a wedding, their brain kind of works a lot quicker than the average person. He'd be analysing all the exits in the space, or he'd be thinking, if there was an attack, how do I save this community? Always about the community. How do I save the community? Then there's the thought, where are my mates? I had my mates. I had my backup.
Yes.
Now I've come back home, and they're not there anymore. no one's got my back.
Yes.
So,
and you probably would have been a little bit like that as well, Derrick, being in the job that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm aware that that is a natural thing for me to want to do.
Yes.
But being aware of it and being aware of the reasons why, I'm able to go, oh, okay, I can't get a sit by the wall and see the outside, so I will then be able to pick places where there are mirrors or reflections that I can see backwards, or I can just go, do you know something? I'm going to trust the people I'm with. They'll tell me if there's something strange happening. And so I'm not completely paranoid or hyper-vigilant all the time.
Yes.
I'm aware. I like it. I'll probably still be listening to noises from behind me.
Yes.
But it doesn't overwhelm me.
Yeah, so it's never going to go away, but you know how to manage it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing is that if you're a person who's in that military, first responder, a partner or children, the things to look for are changes in our behaviour that go on for a period of time, an extended period of time. So if you start being less patient, more crabby, unable to focus, unable to sleep, you're withdrawn, and it's not your normal pattern, then it may not be you that recognises it, maybe somebody else.
Yeah.
For me, 2.5 years after the shooting, my marriage broke down. Now, that was my choice, so I was kind of prepared for it, but I didn't realise that I was going into depression.
Yes.
And this depression was as a result of my marriage breakup. It was the biggest failure in my life, and I still hate that fact. It was a good thing, but I still hate it, and it affected me. But because I was going into depression, I was starting to spiral down. And once we start spiraling down, we're not able to do the higher level thinking of, okay, what's happening here? Okay, this is a sign of depression. Because I knew all the signs, but my level of thinking wasn't cognizant enough to be able to say, this is the cause. And I was fortunate that I recognised that I wasn't as passionate about life.
Yes.
So I went along to the doctor and said, hey, listen, I'm not eating well. What vitamin do I need to take to fix my... and he told me I had mild depression and mild PTSD.
So how do we get in touch, and what are your hours of operation? Is it just online, or is there...
Yeah, it's an online virtual hub, so Resolute Ready... Yeah, it's an online virtual hub.
Yep.
Now, our mission is to stop the generational cycle of service trauma, restore relationship, and create initiatives to prevent suicide.
Yep.
That's our ultimate goal.
So if people just log on to resoluteready.com, you can find all the information there.
Yeah, all the information's there.
Right.
But what we're really asking at this point is to encourage service providers to come on board.
Okay.
Because the more we have on board, then the more this community can access.
Yeah.
And it is free for service providers to put their information on there and be available to the community. And the community, if it's a pay-for-service, we're very happy for that. So we just want people to know the service is available.
ResoluteReady.com for further information. Thank you for your time, Lydia Hall and Derrick McManus, and best wishes with it.
Thank you so much.